So 13th chapter, we covered up to verse 17, just to summarize. So 13th onwards, we see a new section of Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, the section up to chapter 12 is Bhakti Yoga, specifically 7 to 12. The middle chapter of entire Bhagavad Gita is all Bhakti Yoga. On the previous chapters 1 to 6 is primarily Karma Yoga and Dhyana Yoga. 13th onwards, it is primarily Jnana Yoga. It gives knowledge that we all need to know. So this chapter began with questions by Arjuna. He asked, what is Prakriti? What is Purusha? What is Kshetra? What is Kshetrajna? What is Jnanam? What is Jnana? Prakriti means material nature. Everything we see around you is called Prakriti, material nature. Material nature primarily has three modes: Sattva guna, Rasoguna, and Tamoguna, three gunas. And Prakriti includes all the five elements: Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, earth, water, air, ether, space, fire also. So all these material elements. And also, Jiva is also considered Prakriti. Jiva means we. Jiva means either human beings or animals or any of the living entities. They are also called Prakriti. Prakriti is the energy of the Lord. Right? There is energy, there is energetic. For example, there is sun and there is sunlight. Sunlight is the energy of the Lord. Sun is the source of the energy. Correct? So similarly, Lord is Purusha. Lord is Purusha. And all the Prakriti, Bhumi Rapo Nalavaya, means lifeless Prakriti, lifeless material nature, and Jivas, the living entities with material bodies, both are considered Prakriti. Okay? And Kshetra. Kshetra is the field of operation. Right? For example, a farmer raises a field, right? Raises crop in a field. Right? Anywhere you can cultivate is called field. Right? This body is a field. You can cultivate good work or bad work through this body. Right? So it's called field of activities. Kshetrajna. So Kshetra is simply body. Kshetrajna means the knower of the body. Who is the knower of the body? It is actually, there are two knowers. One is the Jiva, right? If I pinch you anywhere, you can experience the pain because you are the knower of the body. There is one more knower, which is the Paramatma. The Paramatma is the aspect of God, or the representation of God within the Jiva, right? Within the body of the Jiva. He is called Kshetrajna, right? And then Jnanam. Jnanam means knowledge. Knowledge about what? Knowledge about Kshetrajna means Paramatma. Knowledge about Paramatma is Jnanam, right? Not any knowledge about how to do anything in the world. That's not Jnanam. The real Jnanam is knowledge about Lord. That is Kshetrajna, right? And then Jnayam. Jnayam means what is to be known. Yeah, so we'll discuss. So these 6 questions are answered over the many verses in this chapter. So we covered up to 17 verse. So first Krishna answered the field of activity and knower of the field. The field of activities means Kshetra. Knower of the field is Kshetrajna. So 3 and 4 are covered in 2 to 7. And then 8 to 12, covers knowledge, jnana. What is real knowledge? Real knowledge is not material knowledge. Real knowledge is actually spiritual knowledge. So that was covered. This is elaborately covered 8 to 12. Very beautiful verses. And then Krishna answers Nayam 6. What is to be knowledge? If you are living in this world, what is it you should learn about in this world? Right? That is verses 13 to 19. What you should know in this world, when you are living in the material world, you should know about Kshetrajna. Who is the source of all this existence? Paramatma, right? Kshetrajna is Paramatma. The real object of knowledge is actually Kshetrajna. So that we are discussing, and then he will answer Prakriti, Purusha and their union. Prakriti 1 and 2 will be answered in the next set of verses. So we'll cover D and E, partly D and then fully E. Let's read verse 17. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu
Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu
vibhaktam iva chastitam
vibhaktam eva chastitam
bhuta bhaktar cha tajneyam
bhuta bhaktasya
Vishnu Prabha Vishnu cha.
Vishnu Prabha Vishnu cha.
Please read.
Although,
Yeah, please read Oma Mataji.
thanks. Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devotes and develops all.
So God as Paramatma is existing in everybody's heart, right? He's there in every living entity, not only human beings, he's also in animal, elephants or tigers, all the four-legged animals or two-legged human beings or insects, living entities in water, crawling animals like snakes, everywhere, wherever there is Jiva, Jiva is super soul. It is like this, right? For example, how is one God existing in everybody is a question many people ask. How can one God exist in everybody, right? It is like, for example, there is sunlight. There is a sun in the sky. It's daytime. There is sun in the sky, and you have parts. There are parts. Say there are 100 parts, right? You have 100 parts. And you filled all the parts with water. You filled to the brim. You filled all the 100 parts with water. If you look at each of these parts, what do you see? There is sun on the sky. In the open air, you kept 100 parts. And in each part, you poured water. When you pour water in each of the parts, what will you see?
The reflection of the sun in each point.
Yeah. So in every part, you will see full reflection of sun, correct? You see the entire sun's present. Even though there is one sun in the sky, in the globe, you see one sun in the sky, but still you see the reflection of the same sun fully in each of the part. That's exactly how super soul exists in the heart of every jiva. So all the jivas carry the super soul, right? It's an expansion. It's all explained in Bhagavatam in detail how he expands into every jiva through Karanarnava Vishnu or the Mahavishnu, and then Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and then Kshirodakasai Vishnu. So he expands into every jiva's heart, right? And what does he perform there? Upadrishtacha, Anumantacha, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. He he is the permitter, right? He is the permitter of every activity we do. Upadrishta means he is the overseer of all our activities. Whatever we perform, good or bad, are recorded by the super soul within the heart. Right? Upadrishtacha Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. He is the real father, Bhokta. He is the real enjoyer, Maheshwara. He is the Mahi means no existence, Mahir or earth. Right? Maheshwara means he is the lord of the existence. Right? So he is not divided. It's not like like a material thing that is cut into pieces. He exists in full consciousness in everybody, right? So he exists, he is situated as one, although he is the maintainer of every living entity. He is the one who is maintained. The living entity is actually maintained by Lord. He devours and develops all, right? As time factor, he, over time, everything is dwindles and dies in this existence, right? That is how it develops. And he develops all, means everything sustains and develops because of the presence of life, right? If there is no life, does anything grow? For example, a person is lying dead. He would not grow an inch after that. The reason is the super soul left the body, right? There is no more soul and super soul in the heart of the jiva. So it doesn't grow. The development happens only when there is the soul within the body, the soul as well as super soul. Yeah. Please continue reading. Yeah.
The Lord is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Does this mean that he has become divided? No, actually, he is one. The example is given of the sun. The sun at the meridian is situated in its place. But if one goes for 5,000 miles in all directions and asks, "Where is the sun?" everyone will say that it is shining on his head.
Yeah. So just like sun is on everybody's head, or the water pot example is much easier to understand. So he exists on everything. Jyotisham api tajyotis
Jyotisham
Jyotiషām
api
api tad
jyotis
paramuchyate
tamasa
tamasah param
paramudhyate
uchyate
jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam
jnanam
jnanam
gneyam
gneyam
jnanagamyam
gnanagamyam
Hridi sarvasya
Hriði
iti
sarvasya
sarvatra
vistitam
vistitam.
Hridi sarvashta vishchitam means he is situated in everybody's heart. Right? That's what it means. He exists. Yeah, please read.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart.
Yeah, he is the source of light in all luminous objects. Everything that is light comes from him. He is the source of light. What is the source of sunlight? It is God. Right? He is the source, Paramatma. He is the source of all energy. Right? See, the universe is so mysterious. We invent bulb, and it's such a great research, and our inventions can light up one home or say one street. Look at the the inventions or say arrangements of God. He fixes one bulb called sun, and the entire universe gets lighted up, right? And there is perfect order in which everything operates in the universe. 12 hours of light every day and 12 hours of night where there is no light. Perfect order. It doesn't change. Anything can change, but so much scientific precision, right? Every day repeats the same with same precision. Our heart beats with the same precision, right? We write computer programs. So many times it crashes, right? Look at our heart. It beats exactly at the same rate as required to pump the blood and energy in the body. Never does it stop. If it ever stops, that's the end of life. Even if it stops for 2 minutes, that's the end of life. That's it. Such a, and yes, the function of your heart is so scientific and so orderly. It knows exactly how to pump, where to pump, what pressure to have. So many factors are taken into consideration, right? Can anybody imagine that this can come without an accident, out of an accident? If somebody says that is such a foolish thing, nothing orderly comes out of nowhere. Correct? This computer or this Zoom call, all of these are inventions, right? If these are all inventions, how do we think we can, we made all these inventions, but we could not replicate many things within the body. Nobody could replicate a liver. Nobody could replicate a perfect heart. Correct? So the brain behind all these objects are much more, uh, uh, complicated, or much more well designed, I would say, right? And the body is designed such that it can cure itself. If you fall down and you have scratches, it heals itself. It doesn't stay forever like that. If you break a computer, it doesn't heal. You have to fix it yourself. You need to put in effort. But where is the intelligence within the body that is making it heal by itself? So there is so much mysticism within the universe. We don't have the eye to see it, but there is always so much mysticism within the universe, right? We all need food, and food is there, arranged within this existence, right? We all need water, it is there. We all need air, we depend on it every minute of our life. It is there. So how do you assume these are all just randomly arranged? It's completely naive to think it's all arranged automatically. There are a lot of, sometimes we see automatic arrangements. Children may think it is just automatic. For example, when you are getting inside a door, sometimes the door automatically opens. The child might think, the door just opens automatically. He doesn't really think, hey, there is this detector that detects movement, and as soon as there is movement, the signal to open the door happens and the door opens. Right? There is a much science behind it. But an ignorant person thinks, it's just door is open. It just goes in. Previous to that, there is people who would open the door when there is a person. The inconspicuousness means invisibility of a person behind only shows the greatness of the intelligence of the arranger. Okay. What I mean to say is, it is because of the great intelligence with which the things are arranged that they are so much orderly. Okay. It's not because of the lack of any such intelligence, it is automatically arranged. Okay. When we see automatic door, we understand there is a great brain behind it. It could automatically detect and open it. Similarly, when there is great arrangements of food, there is great arrangement of light, heat, water, air, that we all need for sustenance, we should understand there is a greater brain behind all of these arrangements. Correct? So, and Bhagavad Gita is actually pointing to the source of that. Correct? Otherwise, we have no idea. What is the source? We can all speculate in various ways. Bhagavad Gita clearly points it is that super soul, it is that Paramatma within the heart that is arranging everything. So he is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. You won't see him here. Paramatma is behind everything, but you cannot perceive with your material eyes. He is the knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. He is Jnanam, he is Jnayam, and he is the goal of knowledge. Object is the object of knowledge and is the goal of knowledge. Means with all the knowledge that you gain, you only should attain him. That is the real goal. He is situated in everybody's heart. Right? He is sarvasya vishtita. He is the goal of knowledge, right? Anything you learn in this world, anything you acquire as skill in this world, ultimately, if it doesn't lead to that goal, right? He is the goal. He is the goal. Who? God is the goal of knowledge. If any knowledge in this world takes you away from the God, that is actually, that's not real knowledge. That's what it means. He is the goal of knowledge. So by anything you do, by everything you do, you should get closer to God. Then it is the right thing to do. Right? He is the object of knowledge. He is the goal of knowledge. He is knowledge himself. Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, is the source of light in all luminous objects like the sun, moon, and stars. In the Vedic literature, we find that in the spiritual kingdom there is no need of sun or moon, because the effulgence of the Supreme Lord is there. In the material world, that Brahma Jyotir, the Lord's spiritual effulgence, is covered by the Mahatattva, the material elements. Therefore, in this material world, we require the assistance of sun, moon, electricity, etc. for life.
Material world is a dark place. Material world is like a universal shell. Universe is a andantarasya paramanu chayantarasya. It's like a globule. It's like a round ball. The entire universe is like a ball, and it is covered with a thick shell. It's like a coconut. So if you go inside coconut and see, what do you see? It's all dark because light is covered, light cannot penetrate. But outside is all spiritual effulgence. The universes themselves float in, Brahma Jyotir, right? So the universes themselves, the Brahma Jyoti is light emanating from the Supreme Lord, and there are Vaikuntha planets in the Brahma Jyotir, and there are these material, universes that are covered by Mahatattva. Mahatattva is material elements coming from God, and within the material elements there are material universes. Material universes are like coconut shells. Inside the shell, everything is dark. So by default, the universe is all dark. But because of the arrangement of one sun planet per universe, every universe has a most gloriously unique light, light emitting planet called sun, like sun. So by arrangement of one sun planet within the universe, the entire universe gets the light. Right? So that is how it is arranged. But in the spiritual world, there is no need for such thing. In the spiritual world, actually there is no sun. Clearly stated that in the Vedic literature that because of his luminous effulgence, everything is illuminated. It is clear, therefore, that his situation is not in the material world. He is situated in the material world. So Lord is actually situated in the material world, in the spiritual world, which is far, far away in the spiritual sky. In Svetastra Upanishad, it is mentioned Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. He is just like the sun, eternally luminous, but he is far, far the darkness of the material world. So Lord is far, far away from the material world. But he comes once in a while in incarnations to help us. Continue reading from here.
He is situated in everyone's heart as the supreme controller. The supreme has legs and hands distributed everywhere, and this cannot be said of the individual soul. Therefore, that there are two norths of the field of activity, the individual soul and the super soul, must be admitted. One's hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna's hands and legs are distributed everywhere. This is confirmed in the Sveta
Svetastra.
Upanishad, Sarvasva Ishanam
Sarvasya Saranam Brahat.
Shravanam Prabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Super Soul, is the Prabhu or Master of all living entities. Therefore, he is the ultimate shelter of all living entities. So there is no denying the fact that the Super Soul and the individual soul are always different.
So the Jiva, which is us, we are actually the soul within this body. But within this body, there is also Paramatma, the Lord himself. So the Jiva and Paramatma are never the same. They're always different. That's what this point is saying. Iti kshetram tata jnanam
Iti kshetram tata jnanam
Neyam choktam samasata
niyam
Samasata
choktam samastata
bhakta etad vignaya
Bhaktaya tat vijnaya
madbhavayopapadyate.
Madhavayopapapadyate.
Please read.
Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature.
Mad bhakta etad vignaya. Mad bhakta means my devotee. See, Krishna is very clearly, there are many practitioners of yoga. The practitioner of karma yoga, jnana yoga. But rarely there are some people who are also practitioners of bhakti yoga. So only a devotee can really understand all these aspects about God. Right? The field of activity is the body, knowledge, and the knowable. What is to be known? What is knowable? What is the object of knowledge? Anybody want to answer? What is the real object of knowledge? Anything you want to know? What is the real goal of knowledge?
know about Krishna.
Yeah, know about Paramatma or Krishna. Yeah. Knowledge. What is real knowledge? The verses described in verses 8 to 12. That is real knowledge. Acharyopasanam, understanding the four real problems of this world, birth, Janma, Vrichu, Jara, Vyadi. Right? So those are all the concept knowledge. 24 elements. Field of activities is Kshetra. Kshetra is the body. Right? Only my devotee can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Yeah, let's continue. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva
Prakritim
Prakritim
Purusham
Purusham Chaiva
Vidhi Anadi Ubhavapi
Vidyanadi
Nadi
Bhavapi
Ubhav Api
Vikarmascha Gunamschaiva
Vikaramscha
Karmascha
Gunamshaiva
Gunamschaiva
Hi Prakriti Sambhavam.
Vidhi
Prati
Prakriti
Prakriti
Sambhavam.
Sambhavam.
Please read.
Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature.
Material nature. Material nature, as we discussed, Prakriti. Prakriti is, the Bhumi Raponalo Vayu, 5 elements of material nature. Even the Jiva is also called, Prakriti. Purusha is, actually, real Purusha is not Jiva. It's mentioned as Jiva here because, he is the enjoyer of material nature. He can be considered Purusha, but real Purusha is actually who? God alone. God alone is real Purusha. But we are also considered Purusha because we have the ability to dominate over the material nature. For example, we dominate over, the lifeless matter, right? Like earth, water, air, ether, material elements. We dominate over the material elements. Right? We dominate on the earth and produce, whatever we want. Everything comes from earth, for example, right? For our enjoyment. So we can also be considered as Purusha, right? But real Purusha is actually God himself. Right? Material nature and living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Means they exist eternally, right? There is no beginning, there is no end. Eternal, right? Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. So material nature is manifest and again unmanifest, again manifest, again unmanifest, right? So Srishti and Pralaya, again Srishti, Pralaya, these are repeated in nature. It's like cycles, right? So Brahma, in every day of Brahma, at the beginning there is, the material nature comes together, the creation happens. At the end of Brahma's day, again the entire material nature dissolves. Again, at the beginning of next day, again it will be reconstructed. So this happens, the cycle keeps on happening every day of Brahma. And there is partial time when Brahma goes to sleep and there is partial annihilation during that time. So this is a cycle that keeps on repeating always. Yeah, please read it.
Both material nature and the living entity are eternal. That is to say that they existed before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of the Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are of superior energy. Both the living entities and material nature existed before this cosmos was manifested.
Both the living entity and material nature existed before the cosmos was manifested. So living entity is eternal. It has no beginning, no death, right? All of us were existing eternally and we continue to exist after this body, right? This body is just temporary setting, right? Material nature, all these elements also eternally exist. They just transform, right? From one form to the other form, right? Today you may see a fruit, tomorrow it will convert into earth, again it will convert into some other fruit. So material nature keeps on transforming one form to the other. And it all gets absorbed into the body of Mahavishnu at the end of life of Brahmaji. So that is mentioned here. Material nature was absorbed in the Supreme Lord, Mahavishnu, and when it was required, it was manifested again by the agency of Mahatattva. Similarly, the living entities are also in him, and because they are conditioned, they are averse to serving the Supreme Lord. because of their conditioning, right now they are not interested in serving the Supreme Lord. Right? Thus, they are not allowed to enter into the spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. Right? So, life in this world is an opportunity or a chance for jivas to actually prepare themselves to enter into spiritual world, or Vaikuntha, or Goloka, whatever you call. So that is the only purpose of this material existence. What is the purpose? Give an opportunity for forgotten jiva to go back to God. Right? So that is the mystery of this material creation. Why this world exists? Nobody can answer. No scientist can answer. They can say this and this thing came together, but why? Nobody can answer why it was done. This is exactly what science misses. They cannot answer why, the question why, in anything. Why the plant is growing? No answer. Why am I living? Why I have to die? No answer. Right? So that only Bhagavad Gita has answers. Right? So that we should understand the limitations of where science stops making any more sense. It doesn't have answers to the inquisitive mind. Right? So a lot of things in this world are mystery. You can only accept through the acceptance of God. You can understand the orderliness, and so many things can be understood by acceptance of inconceivably all-powerful God. Right? Even it's a logically I'm telling, but scripturally there is evidence of all of this. It's not just logical, only you come to that kind of conclusion. Scripturally there is evidence of such existence. Actually, living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of Supreme Lord, but due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within the material nature. Right? It really doesn't matter how these living entities or superior entities of the Supreme Lord have come in contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place. We may not know why we are here in this world. Right? In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by the material nature are undergoing a hard struggle for existence. Right? So material world means you have to struggle every day to meet your ends meet. Right? You need to material life is a struggle because you need to earn for your living. Right? It means you have to work hard every day. You need to cook, then only you can eat. You need to clean your body every day, take bath, clear stomach. So many obligations exist to maintain the body. It's a hard struggle, right? You need to breathe every day. You need to, if you get disease, you need to take care of it. You may get mental disease, not just physical disease, psychological problems. So it's a hard struggle to maintain yourself. Whether it's cold, you'll be suffering. Whether it's hot, you're suffering. So it's not easy to lead a life. It's a constant struggle. We may say, hey, no, it's part of life. But the matter of fact is, it's a struggle. Continuously you need to struggle against the nature of this world, right? But we should know it with certainty from the descriptions of these verses that all transformations and influences of material nature by the three modes, influences of material nature by the three modes are all productions of material nature. All transformations and variety in respect to living entities are due to the body. As far as spirit is concerned, living entities are all the same. Karyakarana Katritve
Karyakarana-kartritve
hetu prakritiruchyate
prakritiruchyate
Prakriti Uchyate
te Purusha
Purusha Dukha
Sukha
Dukhanam
Sukha Dukhanam
Dukhanam
Heturuchate.
Bhakti
Bhutve Hetur Uchyate.
Please read. Yeah.
Said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in the world.
So all material causes and effects means all the transformations within this world, like changing of seasons, all of that is because of the nature, right? What about the whatever suffering you are getting in your life, or whatever happiness you are getting in your life, who is the reason for it, or who is the cause behind it? It is the soul or the living entity, right? Sometimes it performs good actions, accordingly he gets good karma, he accumulates good karma. Sometimes he performs bad actions and accordingly gets negative reactions, right? If you drink wine, you get a liver disease. Before that you get hangover or loss of consciousness, right? For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, Newton's law. That is actually karma, theory of karma, right? Some effects are immediately realized. Somebody drinks wine, immediately he falls down. Some effects are immediate. Some effects are long term. The liver damage happens over 10 years, for example, right? But it happens for sure, right? So who is responsible for the liver damage? The actions of the living entity, right? So the living entity is the responsible for the sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So all happiness and suffering is because of one's own actions. Nature is the cause of material causes and effects. For example, pandemic was caused by material nature. Why did material nature arrange for that? It was appropriate time for it, because the kind of growth and is happening in the world is unsustainable. It has to bring the world to some kind of a some kind of calmness in the universe, right? So for that it has to it's basically a reaction of the material nature for the activities performed by the jiva, right? So it is you can say caused by material nature. Sometimes there are earthquakes, tsunamis, floods. They're all nature's reactions to the living entity's activities, right? Purushaha prakritisto hi
Purusha
Purusha Prakriti Stohi
bhunte prakriti jan gunan
Bhunte Prakriti
Te
Jan
Prakriti
Gunan
Jan Gunan
karanam guna sangosya
Karanam
Guna
Sangosya
Sangosya
vasad yoni janmasu.
Sat
Sat
Asat Yoni
Yoni
Janmasu.
Janmasu.
Very famous verse. Please read. Archana
The
Mataji.
living
Archana Mataji, can you read?
Yeah, Prabhuji. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species.
The living entity in material nature means in the material world, right? There is spiritual world and there is material world. Where we are is material world. So the living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, right? Prakriti, Purusha, Prakriti Stohi. What is he doing? Bhunte Prakriti Jan Guna, right? Bhumte means enjoy. What is he doing? He's trying to enjoy the modes of nature, right? The modes of nature means there is 3 modes, Sattva guna, Rajoguna, and Tamaguna. There are various facilities provided in each guna according to one's nature, right? For example, my nature is more tamasic. I will be enjoying this this material world by drinking wine or drinking cigarettes or whatever. That's the mode of ignorance, right? Or tamas guna. Somebody is in mode of goodness. By his nature, he'll be reading scriptures, or he'll be reading good literature, right? Or some kavyas, or eating sattvic food, right? Like vegetables, sweets. Those are all sattvic foods, right? Fruits. Based on one's nature, one enjoys the world in this world. One enjoys in this world, right? Follows the ways of life means based on the nature he acquired, he enjoys the various facilities in this world. This is due to his association with that material nature. Means that nature means that particular guna, right? He may be associated. Everybody has different proportions of mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sometimes the same person who is primarily in mode of goodness may act in the mode of ignorance for some reason, right? Due to his association, right? Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species, right? So he will meet sadasad yoni janmashu, means he will get different bodies based on the way he's enjoying life. For example, one who is, eating meat all the time, for example, he may be given a body of lion in the next life so that he can freely eat meat. Why do you need human body to eat meat? You can be a jackal or a lion or a tiger so that you can eat freely. There is nobody who is going to stop you because that's what you are after. Be it, so be it, right? So material nature, the jiva, while living in this world, as he associates with a specific material nature and enjoy the nature in those specific ways, he is actually preparing his next body. That is how nature works, right? As long as one has these vasanas, or the desires to enjoy in this world in various ways, through various means, he continues to get the body, material body. As and when he realizes, actually this is all farce, this is all illusion, that I'm thinking I'm enjoying in this world. What is there really in this world to enjoy? I'm suffering every day. My ayu is going down on a daily basis, and I have to maintain this body. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi is continuously existing in all forms of life. When one comes to that realization of that knowledge and seriously pursues Paramatma and dedicates his life to his service, then he will come out of this cycle of birth and death. Then he will not be given any more material body. Material body is just a dress to enjoy in various ways in this, or by associating with various modes of nature. That's all it is, right? When you qualify yourself to be a non-enjoyer of the material nature, then you have no reason to come back to this world. That is the principle of liberation, right? So as soon as you lose the taste for enjoying in this world, people say, I'm fascinated by car, I'm fascinated by this, I'm fascinated by that movie. As long as you have that fascination to enjoying in this world in various ways, you will not get rid of material body. You will keep coming back to this world. As soon as you realize that this is all temporary, fierce activity, I'm trying to enjoy in various ways, I'm not really entitled for this kind of material enjoyment. I'm spiritual in nature and my enjoyment is much superior And actual enjoyment is in the service of the Lord in various forms of bhakti, Navavida bhakti, right? As one realizes those aspects of life, then he won't, then he doesn't deserve to get a material body again in the next life. That's the end of his material existence. And he will be given a spiritual body because he has no taste for enjoying in this material world. That is the testament. How spiritually are you growing? The test for that is you lose taste for material enjoyment. You are not after for, bigger homes, bigger cars, or, holiday destinations. These are all various ways we want to enjoy. I mean, you may want to go for your children's sake sometimes, but you do not have the spirit of enjoying in that place. Everywhere you go in this material world, whether in this earth planet or in the spirit or in the Brahmaloka, everywhere is a place of misery. Misery means a place where there is birth, death, old age, and disease. You cannot avoid that either in Swargaloka or Brahmaloka or any of these planets, including Earth, right? So one who understands that, then he doesn't need to come back to this world. So this is the summary of our life. That is why this is an important verse. The living entities in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. So the same living entity goes through various species and experiences good and bad. Yeah, please read.
This verse is very important for an understanding of how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes a dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another.
Yeah, so he has to continue to, as long as you have some taste to enjoy in this world. The effect of chanting is the taste should slowly go down over a period of years. It's not going to happen like tomorrow. The effect of chanting is these attachments slowly just like drift away from your existence. Yeah, continue here. It's an important purport.
Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on, and in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of material nature.
He thinks himself to the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of material nature, right? We are all limited. Even though we think we are free, we are all limited in various ways. That's what this means. It's like in the olden days, they used to make oil with an ox. The ox is tied to a central pole. Okay. The ox moves a grinding motor, and between the motor there is the oil seeds or coconut, whatever, and the ox moves around in a circular way, right? The rope is tied to the nose of the ox. The ox is a powerful animal. It's a male male cow. It's a very powerful animal. But how far can the ox move? Only within the circle, right? As soon as it tries to move, it moves. As soon as it tries to move hard away from the rope, its nose starts bleeding because it is tied right into the nose, right? Just like a noose tied up ox, the living entity is tied up to this material existence. Sometimes he tries to squeeze enjoyment from this material existence, and he will get immediately some, pain. So living entity's life is like that in this world. It's the more you try to enjoy, the more you suffer. That is how the unfortunate truth about the nature of this world. One can, relate to one's own life, how suffering exists in every aspect of material existence here. Fortunately, Gita has a solution, right? That's the great part of this. Yeah, please read this.
How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three material modes and become situated in the transcendental position that is called Krishna consciousness.
As soon as you are attached to any nature, or anything in this world, for example, right? You are subjected to repeated birth. But if you rise above to transcendental position, by what? Simply by practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna, right? Simple process, but the effect is, very high. Yeah. So actually, we'll end here. So in the temple, there is